Yeah, so I'm Gabby, I'm part of Family Intervention Service, and I've come to talk about NVR, which stands for Non-Violence Resistance. Um, the inspiration for NVR, as you can see on your screens, come from those who chose to respond rather than react and were consistent in this. So, for example, Rosa Parks, who continuously chose to sit on a chair on the bus rather than react. So the NVR program is aimed for parents rather than the child. It's a process to end child to parent violence through self-awareness and self-management in order to change patterns in relationships so that parents can gain back some control. It encompasses a wide range of different principles, so to prevent like aggression, intimidation, acts of physical violence, controlling tactics such as psychological and financial manipulation from children. But it can also be used to prevent when children may be using threats of self-harm, again, to exercise power and control over parents and carers. So there's lots of different principles, and I won't go through them all, but some of the most important principles with the NVR program is presence. So this is where we explore how present a parent actually is. What do they feel their presence looks like, and if it's lacking in both themselves and the child. If this is the case, then we know that that means that the child may struggle with boundaries or actually attachment, which can lead to the child finding other ways to get their needs met, which can be verbally or physically. We also look at self-control, so around responding rather than reacting and causing escalation. So we like to say strike when the iron is cold rather than hot. So when a parent reacts immediately to a demand, it often fuels the escalation, and both parent and child going up and up and up, which can lead to big arguments and the physical behaviours, whereas we're trying to teach them the resistance to create space for reflection in order that they can respond properly at the right time rather than reacting. NVR also explores supporters for the parent. So at times this might be family, friends, it may be somebody within the school or a teacher. However, we'll also look at if it was a teacher or a PFC, they might be the support for the child. So it may not be suitable because you might lose that trust in the child. So it's basically around looking for someone who's available to listen to the parent. It could be when they've had a difficult morning. They just need somebody to listen. Basically, it's not actively getting involved or restraining or anything like that. It's just being a listening ear. So other principles are transparency, repair and restore, and building strong nurturing relationships. So with the transparency, although this is a program that is for the parents, it's not about doing it behind the child's back. So, the child may be aware that this is what you're doing, but it's about empowering the parent to say, this is happening, we are stopping the violence, but it's also about, rather than justifying a child's behaviour, if there is violence, and that's exactly what we call it. So rather than having it's been a really difficult morning, they pushed me but they didn't mean to, or they've hit me, actually you have been violent towards me, we are not standing for this anymore, we are stopping the violence. So again, not about shaming or humiliation, it's not about giving any punishments, but it is about sensitivity, clarity, and the relationship between the parent and the child. One of the first exercises that we'll do with a parent it's called the 4 baskets exercise. So the first basket that we look at is the things that they love about their child and like about their child, because sometimes when they're in that difficult situation of child to parent violence, they forget about all the positives in their relationships. And then we start looking at the large basket. What are things that the parents may be able to let go of, let it go over their heads? So is it that they're swearing? Right, well, we can let go of that for a little while. It's not the main focus. We have the medium basket, which is things that actually we would like to change, but it isn't our priority at this time, because we need to get to the small basket, and it's about putting one thing in the basket that you feel is the main thing that needs to change, that is the key reason why violence may be happening. And what we find is when we have that one thing that we're going to look at, the other parts that are in the medium and large basket will start to disappear naturally. And NVR is about giving parents a new authority. So forgetting about the old authority, the joining in with the escalations, well, you've done this, so I'm taking everything away from you, you need to respect me, all of that kind of thought process, but changing it into, it's not about giving in, it's not about trying to control the child, it's about having vigilant care, it's about finding de-escalation techniques that work for everybody, and with the authority through, again, building a more positive relationship. In terms of the vigilant care, this is when a parent might know that something's happening, and they'll do something about it. So an example of this is if a child is known to harm themselves, the parent's going to agree to be vigilant around this. So if the child's been quiet in their room for a while and the parent shouts up, "Are you okay?" and they're not hearing anything back, then they might go upstairs themselves and check in and make sure that they are okay. So the concept is about protective, non-intrusive approach to risky or disruptive behaviours. And with the example I've just given, it's about, with the new authority, sharing with the child that I'm not gonna come into your room for no reason. I respect that you want your space, but if I am worried about you and I don't have a response, then I will come up and check on you. It's a flexible framework in which we need to adjust the level of involvement. So it's, like I said, it's not about seeking to control, rather contain behaviours within the presence in the relationship. And there is a process, and you don't always have to do it in this order, but it does tend to work best in the order on the screen. It does take time. And each part of the process, so the basket exercise or the model for consequences, it can take 3 to 4 sessions, and needs the structure. Most of the time, when we follow the process that's on the screen, we don't get to the end of the course with the families, because they tend to get to the supporters, or maybe a bit before, and the violence has already stopped. But NVR is only appropriate if the parents are willing to engage in the process, that they're not going to shame the child or go through every single incident with them. In terms of FIS, NVR can be used at any age. And NVR, so if you're thinking of referring into FIS, it would be appropriate specifically when a child is being violent towards a parent, and it could be used for, you know, any type of family. It's whether you're a single parent, carers. It's more about that if violence is happening towards the adult. And that's it.